Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stampin'. Today is the launch of our new mini catalog, and y'all have seen me use some of the products out of this catalog in the last few weeks here and there. But now this is live. I have a link on the Facebook page where if you don't have a copy of this catalog, you can literally go in and click and view the entire catalog through a PDF file. So go over and check that out. But the catalog itself is beautiful. There are some gorgeous items in here. And one of the new items that I have fallen in love with is the ephemera. This is something new for Stampin' Up! And I think because since they went in with Close to My Heart and they're kind of carrying more scrapbooking items, there was a need for ephemera. But you can use ephemera on your cards as well. So I did pick up all 3 packs of that. This catalog is laid out very much like the new annual catalog was, where they give you some suggestions of some card samples here. You get to see some other items here, kind of in play. There are some beautiful items in here. They show you the memories and more. Here is a standalone pack of designer series paper. It has some pop-outs and cut aparts in it, which is great. I think you will enjoy looking through this catalog and getting some inspiration for your upcoming Christmas cards. And we used to call this our Christmas catalog, and they don't anymore. They just call it the mini September through December. But September through December is our fall and Christmas season. So I still refer to it as that. There are some new embossing folders in here, and look at the beautiful paper. So much to look at. This is Reindeer Days is a cute set that I think everybody will enjoy and use. So many things. I'm not going to do a complete walkthrough of this catalog. Nest of Winter. I've already had several people that said this was gorgeous. This one did not speak to me and I did not purchase it. Not to say that I might not before the season's out. They are just beautiful. Now, this Regal Flora is not necessarily Christmas, but it is a very beautiful winter pack. And the suite is called Regal Winter. This paper is stunning. If you love those deep, rich colors, this will be right up your alley. Beautiful stamp set. And I'm going to be working with this pretty soon. Y'all did see me use some of this paper and the sentiments out of Autumn Expressions. There's just so much. Now, they also have a section over here that are bundles, and I think that's so great. So here you get your stamp set and your punch, another stamp and punch, stamp and dies. This one you've seen me use, the Light the Year, a beautiful lantern. The Christmas labels is gorgeous, and there's just so much you can do with these. But these are all the bundles. And what's the difference in a bundle and collection? The collection is the entire everything that they have to offer in that grouping. So you may get designer series paper, specialty paper, ribbon, embellishments, embossing folder, dies, and stamps. Sometimes it's a double set of stamps and dies. So it just varies as to what the Christmas Friends. That one is super, super cute. The decorative tree, another gorgeous set. And I mean, there are just so much in here. More than autumn that is cute, especially for us that love that pumpkin pie spice, or just a warm cup of cocoa, or one of those decadent coffee drinks that we all love. The Frozen Edges, I do have this one and I am going to be working with it pretty soon. It is absolutely stunning. And if you pair this with some foils and that sort of thing, it is absolutely beautiful. Y'all saw me use the Dear Santa. I think it's a beautiful set. But with all of this being said, like I said, go over to the Facebook page, Kathy's Random Acts of Stampin'. And if you haven't already joined that page, all you have to do is click. It'll send a request to me. I'll approve you. and then you can actually browse anything that's there. We welcome all of our new members if you decide to join, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to. You can share any of your projects there that you made with the products that you got from Stampin' Up! And I encourage you to do that because it is so much fun to see what other people are doing. Now, here's the card that I want to kind of showcase and show you how to make today. Now, this is made using the sophisticated Sled, and this particular item is available. It has been available for quite some time because it's an online exclusive. And I used to make my little hills, I actually used the So Swirly embossing folder. And all I did was I took and put a piece of paper in and got this little heel, and you can do it either direction, however you want to do it, and get that little heel that you need. You could do it upside down if you like, however, and then just trim it out. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Also, for my card, I used the Frosted Forest, and I used these two trees, this tree right here, and I cut it twice. There's two trees on here, and I did white on white because I thought it really made everything else pop. I saw this card on Pinterest, but the lady that made it did not have instructions. She just had a picture. Her trees looked like they might have been taken from the Grassy Grove. Um, and that's this set right here with this little set, and then she cut around it. Now, I did that with my trees. I didn't particularly like them. They did look more like her trees, but so what I did is I cut this out and I cut the three trees away from it. So these three trees right here, I just kind of cut them away. And I took the little scallop piece that's like the canopy, and I just laid it down over top of my trees, something like it's like this. I don't know. I just laid them in there and cut around it, something like that. And I got that edge to make the trees look like they were scalloped, which made it real easy to make sure I had a nice even edge on it. But I didn't like the way these looked on my card. So I took a piece of white cardstock and I put these down, and I just didn't think that they looked as good as these did. So I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut the ones from the Frosted Forest, and I used these two pieces right here, and I still have them together. So I think I'm going to go back and do that one. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing we're going to need is a piece of cardstock. I'm going to grab a piece of basic white, and this is the thick. We're going to grab our trimmer, and what I need is a white card that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that is going to give me the front of my card. Now I put mine, the one I saw on Pinterest was a white card as well, but I liked using the red because I felt like it really helped the sled, the little cardinal, the bow and everything to really pop. So that's the reason I chose that. And then I love the Let It Snow down here in the corner. So that's the reason. This is going to need to be cut down even further, but I think I want to get everything on it first, and then we can go back and cut it. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to grab my embossing folder that is, maybe I had it out. I do. And it's the Snowflake Sky. I already have a piece in here. Why don't we just go ahead and run that one through, and then we can go from there. But this, you want to line it up even with your registration line right here. And this is a 3D folder, so you're going to need to use your plates for your 3D folder. So I'm going to bring this out, my big boy machine, and we are going to grab our plates. So I've got my number 1 plate, my die adapter plate. No, we don't need that. We don't need this. I'm thinking I'm die cutting and I'm not. We need our number 1 plate, our embossing folder with our cardstock in it, and then our specialty plate number 4. And all of these plates come with your machine, so it comes equipped to do everything you need it to do straight out of the box. So now that we have that done, I'm going to lay this to the side. Look at those beautiful snowflakes. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm going to lay this to the side, and I'm going to put my specialty plate up and bring my cut plates back. Or better yet, let's finish with our folder. We are going to take a cut plate and put it down on top of our number 1 plate. And I'm going to take this piece and just lay it in to my So Swirly. And what I am looking to get is some of these nice swirls. Trying to decide, maybe I want to go in this direction. I'm going to try this, and then I can always trim off right there and trim it off where I need it. So I'm going to take and lay this in like so, and I'm going to put the other number 3 plate over it, because this is not a 3D embossing folder. It is a single. And with that one, you do your number 1 plate and your 2 number 3 plates, and you get a beautiful embossing. And we're going to leave this out because we're going to do some die cutting. So I'm going to put that number 2 adapter plate back on. And let's take this one out. Oh yeah, look how beautiful that turned out. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at the depth of, I love that. Let's lay that to the side. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and cut those trees. And again, we need white cardstock. So I am going to grab this piece here. I'm going to put my tree down just like that. And I am going to cut this in half. So I'm going to take my large shears and I'm going to come up something like that and just cut that piece off so I can get that one tree. We'll cut that one first. That's pretty. See how gorgeous that tree turned out. There's our tree. I love that. And then we're going to take our other piece of paper and we're going to put the other tree right here. And I'm just going to cut across this piece and lay that one down. Now, my plate has got a little spring in it. See the spring? That's when you want to turn that bottom cut plate. This plate I turn every time I use it. I flip it to the next side. This one I only turn it when it springs up. Now I have no spring, and that keeps my plates from warping. I say that every time I use the die cut machine because this was a system that I found worked really well for me. Now we're going to bring this back up in a minute to cut our sled and the rest of our items, but let's go ahead and look at our trees first. I love looking on Pinterest and finding a card that I like, especially if it's one like this where I did not see directions for how it was made, because that allows me to go into my stash of items that I have and try to replicate as close as possible. So that's exactly what I did with this one. So now we have our card, we have our trees, And I'm gonna, let's see what this piece is. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and that's perfect. So I'm gonna put one tree down to the bottom, and I want the other one to go up just a little bit like that. Now we want to look at our piece, and I want to trim it out right where this, break that off a little bit, right here where that little hill goes up like that and back down. That's the piece that I want to make my hill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper snips, because these are great for fussy cutting, and I am going to come in right where that line starts right here. See the line? I'm just going to trim that out. So I'm going to angle my scissors, and I'm going to follow that line. Just like that. Doing the same thing you do when you fussy cut. Turn the paper, not your scissors. Something like that. Now, this is going to almost fit on here, but I want to trim it off about to here. So I am going to bring out my trimmer, and I want it to come up. Let's get our trees. Now we're going to glue these trees directly down to our card, all the way to the edge, and all the way to the top, something like that. So I'm going to want this edge to go about like that. So I'm going to do this at 4. So I'm going to line that up at 4, cut that off like that. Then I'm going to, I think I want to cut this off even with that. So I'm just going to hold that right there and snip that off. And then I want this hill to be about, maybe just do that completely down like this. And let's do this about, I'm going to bring it to 2.5. And then zip that off. This will give us a decent size hill here. And see, it's starting to come together. Now I'm going to take, let's get some of these scrap pieces out of our way. I want to take another piece like here. I want to make sure this is cut on the straight edge. So I'm going to line that up nice and straight and just trim that off so I know that that edge is straight. And then I'm going to take my die from, actually I have a piece here that I cut when I was playing. I think I'm going to cut this off a little bit shorter. So let's bring it to 2 1/4. We're going to take this one and just put it down across this paper like this. And I'm thinking I want to get a little bit of this to make it look like another snow hill. And to do that, all we're going to do is anchor that down. Bring up our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It's no exact science. When you're making a card like this, it's like trial and error. You'll put a piece and you'll put it on, and if you like it, you use it, and if you don't, then you pull it off and you try something else. So that is the rule of thumb with a card like this. Now you can see that did not cut, it's still attached. So I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm going to snip it right there. And I am going to bring over my trimmer, and I know I need this piece to be 4. So I'm going to put it in like that and cut that off there. And then I'm going to cut this down to about 2 3/4. Now this has a little cut right here, but see right there where I was cutting this, the cardstock, it doesn't matter because this is going to hide under the hill. So let's see if we can get our trees situated where we want them. Something like that. Then we can have this piece underneath, maybe right there. And this one right here. And what that's going to do, because we're going to pop this one up on top of that one, and it will give us that dimension in between that we're looking for. So, or you could just pop this one up and not even worry about this one. Totally up to you. Let's, and I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to trim this down to 2. And that one can go on like that. Fluffy puppy snow back there in the background. So now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and put our die cuts down where we want them. So for that, I'm going to use some liquid glue because I'm gluing everything directly down to my mat. So I'm going to get some glue going here. And I want to make sure I get a good coverage of glue on this tree because I really want it to stick down and look like it becomes one with the mat. Now for this one is going to go directly down onto our cardstock, just like that. And then this one is going to pop up. I need to cut this one down just a little bit more. And take it about a 1/2 inch. And then on this one, I'm going to use some of our adhesive strips. And the reason I'm using these is I just want to adhere around the bottom and each side. So this will be the perfect conveyance to do that with. So I'm just going to come across the bottom. Like that on top of this, and it gives us a place now to stick our sled into the card. I'm not going to glue any of this down just yet because we need to do some more die cutting and a little bit of stamping. Sophisticated sled, the stamp and the dies, and we're going to need to stamp this piece, this, let it snow, and we're going to build our sled using the dies. So I'm going to do my stamping first. So let's get these out. And the bird. So I'm going to have a piece of scrap cardstock right here. So I'm going to bring this down. I am going to use my mailto because I'm going to use some alcohol blends. But for my let it snow, I'm going to use my VersaFine. So I'm going to stick that right there. And let's load these up on stamp blocks. And now I'm going to close up my memento, and I'm going to grab my Let It Snow and ink that up in my Versafine. And we're going to stamp it right down here in the corner. So now we can go ahead and do our alcohol blends. I'm going to fan that just a tiny bit to let that ink dry a little bit before I put alcohol into it. I'm going to go ahead and clean my stamps while I'm waiting. So I'm using the Stampin' Scrub, and I'm just activating this cleaning pad with a little water. And I'm going to scrub on one side and dry on the other. This is one of the best products, in my opinion, that Stampin' Up! Sells. It cleans your stamps so well. You can use stamp cleaner on here, which I have stamp cleaner, and then I just reactivate it with the water until I get ready to clean it. And when I take these pads pop out, so you can take them to your sink with some dish detergent and clean them up really good. So I love this for cleaning my stamps. It does such a good job. All right, so let's pull these over and grab some blends. These are my Stampin' blends that I plan on using. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and color my cardinal. So I'm going to go with my light real red. And because this is a tiny image, I'm going to use the bullet tip. It has a brush tip on the one end and a bullet tip on the other. If you're doing a large area, the brush tip is great. But if it's a small area like this little bird, you don't need that big tip. So I'm just going to go in and color him. I'm not trying to shade or do anything. I'm just putting some color on him. Then I'm going to go back with the dark. I'm going to trace around his wing, putting a little darker color there, under his stomach and there, and a little bit on the tail. And then I'm going to take my yellow and just go in and tap his beak. And that's all we need to do to color that. Now I'm going back in with my light real red. And I am going to hit these holly berries. And if you notice, I'm just tapping. And we can always come back and hit those up again. While I have the red out, I'm going to go ahead and color my bow. We will come back. Now I'm going to take some of the light shaded spruce. Again, I'm still using the bullet tip. And I'm just going to put some color down on some of the leaves. I'm going to come in with the old olive and do the same thing. Then I'm going to come in with the dark shaded spruce. And I'm going to do the larger flower, or leaf, I should say. I'm seeing more berries in there that I didn't get. So I'm going to come back and dot those. I'm going to take that light shaded spruce. Then I'm going to come in with the dark roll red. And just put a little bit of highlight in there to help brighten that all up. Then I'm going to go back, and any place I see that looks like it needs a little bit more color, I'm going to hit it with this dark shaded spruce. Just like that. Now everything's colored and ready to cut except this piece right here. So I'm just going to cut this out. Then I'm going to grab my dies. We also need to die cut that. And this piece. And our birdie. We're also going to need to cut our sled. Before I do that, I want to cut this piece because all I'm going to do is fussy cut around this little sentiment, and it's going to be so simple to do. We're just going to go close to the letters. And there is our Let It Snow. So I'm going to tape these down and run these through the die cut machine, and we will be right back. We're going to go ahead and push this through our die cut machine. The next thing that we need to do is we need to cut 2 pieces of greenery out of this die, and I want to do a scrap of old olive. So I just went in and found some scraps. I'll see if this will fit. Yeah, that will fit. I'm going to put these two together so that will give me a good frame of the sled on this piece. Okay. All right, I think we're done with our die cutting. So I'm going to bring everything over, pop that out. I think we're going to need to take your pick for this. See if we can pop this out. There we go. So we have our sled. These are scraps that can go in the trash. We have our 2 greeneries. And the reason I wanted 2 of these, I'm going to kind of offset them to give me a 2-tone green. Let's bring everything back over. Let's put our sled together first. So I am going to bring that down into there like so. I'm going to turn it over because I'm going to put a piece of tape right here to hold that together. And I think I'm just going to use some tearing tape. Just a little piece of tearing tape across this bottom will hold this together for us. That'll work. And we can put glue on the rest of it. This part of our seat is going to go like this. And we can very easily put glue across here to get that to here. And then the bar is going to go right there. So let's go ahead and put this together. I am going to bring out my silicone craft sheet so I don't get glue on my desk. So I'm going to take glue and just come across here. Then I'm going to set this down in the glue to try to get everything even. Like that. And then this piece is going to go right across there. So again, we can just run glue right there. Now we have our greenery. And I think I want the old olive underneath. And I'm going to offset it just a hair like that and glue those together. So I'm just going to put some glue right here at the top and set one on top of the other, just kind of off-centering it a little bit so you can see both of the colors. See how pretty that is? Then we're going to take and put another little dab of glue right here and press that in. And then we have this, and this I want to pop up, so I am going to use some mini dimensionals, and I'm going to put 2 minis right there. And a large one here and here. If you don't have the minis, you only have the single, just cut one in two. You can do it either way, or you could just use one up there. And there is our sled, all decorated, decked out for the holidays. So now we can come back to our card. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this directly down, flush to the bottom of the card. And then we're going to pull the adhesive off of this one. That gives us the perfect place to offset our sled like that. And then we have our little bird. Where did my birdie go? Here he is. And I popped him up on the other card, but I don't think I liked him popped up. I think I'm going to glue him directly down. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit of glue. And I want to sit him on that limb, just like that. And then we have our little sentiment. I'm going to put this right here. Now, this is one of those cards that you would make for someone very special. This is not a mass-produced card by no means. This is definitely one that you have to put a little time and thought into. But, oh my goodness, can you imagine how surprised the recipient's going to be when they get a card like this? So now I need a piece of red. And we're going to cut this at 5.5 on the 11-inch side. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and score it at 4.25 right here. And let's get that a crease. And then all we have to do, we do need to glue this in. This does need to be glued in about like there. So I'm going to put glue here. I'm also going to pull that tearing tape off. Let that serve as double duty. And let's stick it right down into that snowbank, like so. Now that we've got that glued on, we don't have to worry about anything falling off. We are ready to adhere this down onto our card base, just like that. I love the way this card turned out. A little bit different than the other one because my heel was on the other side. I'm not getting glue out of there, so you know what? Let's use some Stampin' Seal. And there we go. Now the only thing we've got left to do is to do our inside. So for our inside, we are going to grab our little red ink pad. We need to cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4. From the Peaceful Season stamp set, I want to stamp Christmas in red, like that, and the season of wonder and happiness. And we're going to do that in black. So I'm going to grab a stamp block and pick up my word, Christmas. And I'm going to ink that up. I think I'm going to turn it over and ink it this way, since it is a big stamp. I really want to saturate it. And I'm going to leave that on there just for a minute and let that ink transfer. And I got a line there. I knew I rocked my stamp, but I didn't realize. We're going to go with it. No, I'm not. I'm going to turn it over and try it on the other side. So let me clean the stamp. I'm just going to wipe off the block. Let's try that again. Trying not to rock my stamp this time. Beautiful. And for my black, I'm going to come in with the Versafine. And now we're ready to put this into our card. And there is our inside sentiment. I love this card. It does need a little bit of bling. So I'm going to bring in again my Rhinestone Basic Tools. And we're going to put a little bit of bling on here. So let's put some bling on our tree. Maybe a little bit right here by the Let It Snow. I think right there in the middle of that bow, I'm going to use a large one. What do y'all think? I love the way this card turned out. I think it's gorgeous. Who wouldn't love to get that for a Christmas card this season? And you can make this any way you wanted it, and you could build it with whatever trees you have, whatever you have that you could do a snow slope with. the possibilities are endless. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today, watching this tutorial, and I hope this is a card that you would like to make. It was so much fun, and I just had a blast with it. I hope you love it as much as I do. God bless and keep you. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring honor and glory to our Savior Jesus. He is worthy. Until we craft again, God bless and keep you. Bye-bye.